Today is October 19, 2022. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, a few things today. First of all, I've got kids and I've got grandkids, and I know that raising children can be expensive. I understand that, and every parent understands that. It's not cheap, from education to toys to injuries to doctor visits, you name it. It's not cheap having kids, but it's well worth it because children bring such joy and happiness to a family. And, forgive me, but I have to bring up Stacey Abrams again, the gubernatorial candidate for the Democrats in the state of Georgia. And, I think she was on MSNBC a few days ago talking about abortion. And she was talking about it in the context of inflation. And she made the comment basically that one way to beat inflation, to reduce it, to make it less of a burden on families, is to have an abortion. Now, maybe I've been paraphrasing that somewhat, but if you've got an unplanned pregnancy and you're going to end up in poverty, and man, the way to go is to abort that baby. It'll be financially beneficial if you abort that baby. And I find that highly offensive. Well, I'm just going to leave it there. It's just beyond the pale that she would make the argument that it's better to abort a child in the womb to save money or to reduce the pressures of the rise in inflation. And then yesterday, Joe Biden was speaking before a pro-abortion group of some kind, and he was talking again about Roe v. Wade and how wrong it was that the Supreme Court reversed it. And in his remarks, he said that on day one, basically January 1st of 2023, right after the midterms here, when the new Congress, and here again, he's assuming here, or at least he's praying, that the Congress that he's going to be dealing with come January will be a democratically controlled Senate and House. So he says, on day one, the first bill that I will introduce to the Congress, the very first bill, will be the bill to codify Roe v. Wade. I'm no rocket scientist, or I'm no economist or political scientist, but, I'm thinking to myself, gee, we've got a lot of issues on our plates as Americans. We've got the inflation rate. We've got rising interest rates, and the housing market is crashing. We've got rising crime all over the country. We've got the southern border is being overrun by migrants. We've got fentanyl coming across the border. We've got sex trafficking and other narcotics. We have a lot of problems at the southern border, and we have a supply chain problem, and we have the energy crisis where we're not producing enough oil to provide for ourselves, and so now we're begging the Saudis and we're begging the Venezuelans to help us out when we should be drilling for more oil to make ourselves energy independent like we were during the Trump years. There's a lot of things that he could be addressing in January, a lot of things, because American families are hurting with gas prices and inflation and all these things. Food prices are going through the roof. But no, he doesn't want to address any of those pocketbook issues. What does he target? We want to codify Roe v. Wade. We want to make sure Roe remains the law of the land on a national level, because we just want to kill more babies. I have a hard time. I have a very, very hard time believing that Joe Biden is a Roman Catholic. He will shout it from the rooftops that he is a strong Catholic. But the way he talks and the way he acts policy-wise tells me otherwise. He is not a devout Catholic. Because if he was, he would be far more concerned about the status of his soul than it would be about how he's going to end up in the history books with a political career. Because eternity is a whole lot longer than your life, especially your political life. And if he doesn't repent from what he has said about being pro-choice and saying that, man, it's the first thing I want to do come January of 2023 is to codify Roe. If he doesn't have an awakening, a spiritual awakening, and see that eternity hangs in the balance for him, well, pray for Joe Biden, pray for Stacey Abrams, pray for all the pro-choice politicians in our country, that God would just reveal himself to these people, and they would have a Damascus Road conversion and see that baby in the womb is not a predator, is not a parasite, but that baby is a child created in the image of God that needs protection and love. And that child would just bring so much joy to all these families. Okay. Last item, or I guess second from the last item. If you're in the neighborhood this Saturday at 1 p.m., I'll be speaking at the Kalamazoo Free Methodist Church, right across the street from the YMCA on Maple Street in Kalamazoo. And I'll be speaking about Prop 3. And like I said, I've said before, it's going to be taped and broadcast to other churches throughout the state, primarily Free Methodist churches, that other people can hook up to that. I'd love to see you. I'd like to see you there this Saturday at 1 p.m. for about an hour and a half, 2 hour long program. Then this Sunday, the very next day, prayer in the park. I talked about this before too. Downtown Kalamazoo, Arcadia Creek Festival Place, 4 p.m. It's on a Sunday, 4 p.m. Churches from all over the Kalamazoo area, Catholic, Protestant. I know the bishop is going to be there, and have a lot of pastors. There's going to be worship music and prayer, lots of prayer, and pastors speaking about the sanctity of human life and praying for moms, praying for babies, praying for families, praying that our culture embraces the sanctity of human life. And, I'm believing we're going to get 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people crammed into Arcadia Creek Festival Place, coming together unified, believing that God is going to do a great miracle and we're going to win Proposal 3. So vote no on Proposal 3. And tell your friends and neighbors, tell your in-laws and your outlaws that Proposal 3 is too confusing and too extreme. With that, I will let you go. I'll see you next time.